Alright, welcome back. Narab TV here, back with another guide on how to tackle Heroic Moonglade. This one is all about Cenarius. The change on Heroic Cenarius is simple. Dealing with it is a pain in the butt. So he heals everyone that's in range in a certain area on normal. On Heroic, the whole field, all of the allies are healed by him persistently, getting constantly healed. And he does launch some relatively chunky, tanky minions like the Bog Monster, the wolves, the huntresses live a whole lot longer. Just everything's a whole lot bigger of a threat. The chimera as well, and you got to deal with them, and it's a pain in the butt. For this one, I swapped things up, and instead of using my Death Ball Dracosath, we're using Tirion because of his ranged application of burn, using things like the Griffin Rider with long range, the Healing Voodoo. Using Healing Voodoo, Dark Spear Ranger means he lives longer, and his throws count as physical damage, and that applies burn to anything they attack the enemies, so it helps mitigate their healing and the nodes, the towers you need to take. And I am using a little bit of the what's that called there, the Onyxia Breath. I do think you could swap other things in here. So if you don't have Onyxia Breath, if you haven't cleared Onyxia yet, I think you could swap things around a little bit. I would maybe put the Whelplings there. Whelplings might work. It might be a good spot for your Earth Elemental as well, as a good taunt ability, and it applies melee damage. You could also, if you need the range, apply your Pyromancer there too. There's a lot of different ways to play it. This is just what I used. And I'm using the Quillbore for distraction as well. I'd say if you use the Earth Ellie, you could probably swap out the Quillbore and put something else in that slot. So we'll go ahead, excuse me, jump on in here. Everything else is pretty much the same with this fight. I do feel the seeds you get kind of vary day to day. I actually filmed this one because I lost the original footage. We filmed it today, and this seed sucked. I kept getting the spawn right up there at the meeting stone with the wolf and the huntress, so I'm going to use my burning dark spear to take them out. I've already taken a crap ton of damage on my base, but fortunately I'm not going to be taking a whole lot more. We're going to contest over the middle area here. I don't touch the left really at all. I think I might try and mine it with the Dark Iron Miner at one point, but basically I ignore the left fire node this time. I do think, depending on the seed you get, it might make more sense to go left than to go right. But for this seed, once they blew their load, so to speak, and sent everything right, I had a lot of ability to take control on the right. And you need to get things turned around because of the Dragon Breath on the left if you want to take that. So I lost the Meeting Stone up top. Going to use the Safe Pilot to take it back, and contesting on the middle, but gonna resecure that. And at this point, I now have control on those two nodes, and I can start focusing on my economy. That's why I got the Dark Iron Miner out, and that's me debating if I'm gonna try and take the left. I do, but I think it was a misplay. And I'm using Breath here to try and eat away the armor of the big bog monsters and chew them down, getting another Tirion going. I liked sending the Tirion up on the right. That way he isn't getting attacked by the Chimera that they tend to send in the middle. It's a good distraction to start off when you need to take the middle. So he is a little tanky, and you can use your range to attack the middle tower and secure that. So at this point, I'm about to lose the middle tower, and that Chimera is coming right for me. But as you can see, my Dark Spear is staying alive and doing great damage on the boss. So I'm going to make sure I still have the fire damage going, and that's one last surf from the Dark Spear to finish it. The next one here is Tirion. very similar to some of the other builds I did for the other heroic fights. I'm using Defias here to try and cap those chests to get the extra gold economy. He's very tanky, Tirion himself, with his Stay Alive shield. I ended up using the footmen here because they can get buffed and healed up by Tirion, get shielded if they're next to the Witch Doctor when he does his ward ability, and they just tank a lot of the damage from the tankier enemies. They also are a great counter to the wolves and to the huntresses. So we'll jump in here and see how this plays out. Griffin Rider again for being a cheap flyer, throwing damage instead of being melee damage, which is nice. Well, I actually think it counts as melee damage. It's interesting. It doesn't count. It's a flying unit. It applies physical damage, but at range, which is very useful. So this is another one where I got a really chunky seed right off the bat. But fortunately, I'm distracting the Huntress, and I should cap the gold there. Just need to kill the Huntress off. Nope, that's right. Those Huntresses at the beginning are a pain. It's really just trying to get that initial establishment against their first wave. But you see the Tirion and Footman is a very potent combo. They stay alive through that onslaught, and now they are distracting the turret in the middle. So I'm going to send another Tirion up the middle to work on capping it. And they're slow too, which is nice, so they're still distracting. They will die eventually, but they're helping to distract. Sending some Defias out to hopefully get some gold. They won't get the one that I was hoping would respawn, but they're going to get the other one. I'll send another set going, just kind of keep them running. They're so cheap. And at this point, I have control on the right. Another Tirion coming out. The Tirion heals the Tirion. Once you get multiple Tyrions out, it's kind of GG from there. And then we're going to get my Miner, Kobold, going up the middle. He'll do some passive economy there. And that is the last big threat coming at me. And now I got a giant Tirion Death Ball. Shielded, warded up, heading straight for the boss. Once it touches the boss, it's pretty much all over. I got 3 Tyrions, a bunch of footmen, and as you see there, it's all over. A lot easier, actually, than my Blackrock attempt. Next one up is Grommash, and I did this one after Tirion for the Horde family. And I found the footmen were so tanky that why not use them again? So I used them here, as well as the Frostwolf Shaman for healing and applying the shield. The armored ability to 1 mini is just really useful here. Dark Spear, again, does a whole lot of work in terms of damage, as well as your safe pilot. And you got your cheap standbys here with Griffin and Quillbore, great distractions, chip damage, and all of that. So we'll hop in this one. I think this one went pretty quick as well, similar to the Tirion one. As you saw, the Tirion one was done in like about half the time available. Another one where it seems most of the seeds, so no Huntresses there, but they tend to start up top. They're going to get that gold, but I'm going to kill most of their little guys. Getting the Footman going there to tank the Huntress and the Wolf. And I'm going to start getting attacked on my Dark Spear, but look, he doesn't die. Unfortunately, now, if I had played that better, admittedly, I would have played the Quillbore a little bit sooner. Ideally, before it was targeted on the Dark Spear, and I would have played the Dark Spear a little bit closer to the left so that it would, once it was in range, start range damage on the tower. But, you live and you learn. Getting Grommash out, he's going to finish off the immediate threat. I've lost a lot of health. In this, most of these attempts, I had to take a lot of damage on the base in order to get things rolling. So don't be too shy about taking that initial damage when you're trying to establish control of the board. You can afford to lose about half of the health before you're really in, like, true danger. So there's the Chimera coming in. I'm distracting it. as well as chipping it with the base. Because of the healing factor, it's not really doing the job, so I had to get the Griffin in there to finish the job. But at this point, I have control of both middle and right node, and I should have full control going forward. I thought the safe pilot was going to die there, so I played another just to be safe. At this point, you'll see my economy's working pretty well for me. I got the Kobold ready to go mine that 3-point node. More footmen joining the fight. And at this point, once these immediate threats are dealt with, I'm going to have a Grommash, the healing, and the Dark Spear all ready to go. And that's why I'm playing the Quillbore in the back, so I can cap that gold. And also because I saw the threat coming up there at this point, that I was getting my node stolen up top. But we're still safe. Grommash is in play. Almost lost the middle, but I would have re-secured it even if I didn't. Gonna use that to distract. Quillbore. Make sure I keep the economy going with the Kobold. And at this point, everyone's enraged. They got Bloodlust, and they're finishing them off. About the same amount of time, or maybe a little bit longer. This one, I had to play it around. I think this one took me a while. This one took me a while to figure out. I use the what is it called there? The Gargoyle for trying to take out the 2 towers. I think in this one I end up going for the left one as well. A lot of the undead minis I would fit in that second undead slot. I tried A-Bomb for a while. It's so expensive at 6 costs. It's too expensive, and the little things just wreck it. And it doesn't do enough damage to the big threats. They chip it away because of the healing factor. I didn't even try, to be honest, with the Ghoul. I don't know if it would work. Maybe it would. He's a lot cheaper. You can play him without feeling as bad about it. But I do feel like because they don't do a lot of damage either, it would be destroyed. So I ended up trying the Banshee to try and take control of things that were major threats. I think other options here are using the Necromancer potentially, or your Skeleton Party. You're going to want to use something that's not too expensive, though. They're both 4, so I wouldn't use anything above 4 costs, which is why I shirked against the A-Bomb. The problem is things just die so easily that they do a lot of damage. I think both of those would get destroyed. I don't know how Meat Wagon would work. Maybe the Cheat Death spell? I don't know. There's a few other options, but if you don't have Banshee or don't have a higher Banshee, I don't know if I made the best use of the Banshee, but it's what I use here. I'm using Skeletons with Dungeon Party as well for this. They're cheap. They synergize well with Death Pact talent for Baron Rivendare. That just worked really well. I'm using the Bandits again for gold economy, and I'm using big damage coming in from the Safe Pilot and being an Unbound unit, and your Griffin Rider for the same reasons, chip damage and being at range and a flyer. So let's see, how did this one start? I have to remind myself. Yep, so it seems most seeds start on the right, usually with wolves. The Huntress I've seen spawn in both, in top right and middle. I've seen spawn in a lot of different spots. That's me kind of failing with that play, but I'm using the Banshee to take control of that annoying, at least one of the major threats. And I'm now using my Baron Rivendare and my Griffin to take care of the threat on the boss, or on the base. Now, I've already taken a third of my damage on the base. I'm going to be down to half, 2/3 damage already. Again, you don't be surprised if you take a lot of damage before you've really made huge progress. But the nice thing is, the Gargoyle is super susceptible to things like the Chimera, but it'll take out those towers in like 2, maybe 3 hits. and that is super useful. Even against the left tower, I found it to be pretty useful. And now I got my economy going. The bandits are purely to get me as much gold as possible, and I'm spamming stuff on the boss at this point. I should take or almost take the left, but in that time, with just basically a gargoyle and a Baron Rivendare healing himself with skeletons, I've done over 2/3, like 3/4 of the damage already on the boss. And I already turned the third with gargoyle. Gargoyle, exceptionally potent. Honestly, might be one you want to consider using in your other builds, in your other as like a tank distraction and siege unit in your other families. Something to consider. And so, last one here, I used Charlga to take down Mr. Cenarius. Very similar to my other ones. Cheap as possible here. Nothing above 3 cost. You got your golden polymorph for economy and control. I'm using the Murlocs because they do good chip damage. They have a shield on them, keeps them alive a little bit longer. Tried Harpies here to take out the big threats like the bog monster things and the if I turn a Chimera with a Quillbore. And I'm using your Safe Pilot and your Dark Spear for big damage on towers and boss. Nice thing with Charlga, she is useful for stopping in their tracks non-ranged enemies. Useless against Huntress, great against the Wolf, the Bog Monster, so it helps you in those situations. But you're mainly using her for her ability, and that's me. You gotta play it really quick, but if you can get the polymorph out, you can get the gold before they get there. Now granted, I lost the 2 units and it cost a spell, but I got the gold, didn't let them get it, and I killed the other stuff. The beginning has just been exceptionally high cost in like all of these situations, but I do find that using polymorph here is really good, at least slowing the tempo down and letting mobs like harpies or other things that are weak but apply high damage to kill things that are big threats. So we got the middle tower. I still need to control the right meeting stone. If I don't get that under control, you can take the meeting tower, the middle tower, really easily. So it's important. Don't ever forget about that. Even if you get the middle, make sure you at least control the right again as well. And I'm just going to polymorph again. Great use of polymorph with this, I feel, because with Charlga, you're going to get polymorphs out left and right because of the different costs of the minions. I'm an idiot. I didn't use Charlga for this. I didn't use Charlga at all. I originally used Charlga. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll be honest, a little lazy. I'm not going to refilm this. I tried with Charlga because I've used Charlga for everything else. I used, I've been saying Charlga this whole time. I used, what's his name? Hogger. I used Hogger because every time I tried Charlga, even though it was good against the bog monster, anything else would decimate him, and so or her. So I ended up going with the Hogger because as he gets played more and more, he ramps up his damage and his run speed. And I knew that as long as I could survive and get him alive and get him to the boss, he would take the boss out, which is what he did there. Apologies about that. But I'm using a very similar build, and I will still post that down below. All of the builds are on nof.gg. If you want to try them yourself, feel free to check those out. But we're using polymorph. We're using Safe Pilot. Very similar. I'm using Mr. Dark Spear as well. I have the Quillbore because I know I use that to turn things around. Actually, am I using the Quill? Yep, Quillbore to turn things around. The Harpies still are being used. And your Defias Bandits for economy. So the exact same things I showed you with Charlga, except I am using Hogger with the healing factor. He has, I think he heals over time. So just keeps him alive longer. And as you see with this fight here, I got control of all 3 towers, and the Dark Spears did a lot of work on finishing the boss. And then I think I used the Quillbore just to get the last tap in. Yeah. So sorry about that. I forgot. That was a little bit of a editing snafu. But again, all of the what are they called? The builds and decks that I use for all 5 families, the real ones, not the wrong ones, will be available down below on nof.gg. Would love to hear your takes on these fights and how you tackled them, if you tried something different, and if you have any recommendations. And if they helped you, please let me know as well. If you liked what you saw, hit that like button. I'd love to see you back here again for more Warcraft Rumble content, as well as I do WoW, Hearthstone, Magic, and plenty of other stuff as well. So if any of that interests you, hit the subscription and the follow, the notification little bell. And with that said, thanks for hanging out. I'll catch you next time. Okay, peace, bye.